This is the Digital Trust Podcast. In every episode, we strive to bring support to those of you who serve on the front lines and in the trenches of data and technology. We endeavor to bring understanding to the under-resourced and underappreciated, help remove your stress, and provide relief to your pain. Welcome to the Digital Trust Podcast. Sit down with us as we give you hard-hitting advisory conversations to help you build digital trust with your stakeholders and clients, and actionable takeaways to help you become a digitally trustworthy organization.
Hello, everyone, and welcome once again to another episode of the Digital Trust Podcast. I'm Christian Redshaw. I'm your host today, and joining me, as in a previous episode in this series of 2 episodes, is Laura Payne. She is the CEO of White Tuque out of Ontario, Canada. Laura, it's a pleasure to have you back today.
Well, thank you, Christian. It's a pleasure to be back.
Awesome. So the question to start off with today is, what is the biggest myth about cybersecurity that you've encountered in your multi-year career of cybersecurity?
Oh boy, the biggest one. There's a few, but I think it would be that it has to be expensive to be worth doing or to get it right. And the reason I say that is because a lot of companies are already investing in a lot of IT services, products and solutions that provide a lot of very important needs and roles, and a lot of those services actually have security within them. So you can go a pretty long way by just implementing the security features in the tools that you have, and then augmenting on top of that. So it doesn't have to be, a massive additional IT spend to get your ducks, your first ducks in a row. Now, that's not to say that you don't have to spend on security, of course. There will always be things that you can do and improve. And I think that's maybe the other myth is that, we do our security project and we're done. And security is like paddling in a river where you are going against the current. And if you stop paddling, you will not stay put. You will definitely be going backwards. So it requires maintenance and continued attention and foresight to stay current with your security. There's no one and done. That's 2.
Well, you mentioned you mentioned multiple myths that came into your mind, and there are quite a few of them floating around that I think are to the detriment of many small and medium-sized organizations. But we'll maybe save those for another day, and we'll move on to the original plan of what I was hoping to talk to you about. 3 buckets: vulnerability management, incident response, and awareness training. So a couple questions, if it's okay with you, Laura, on vulnerability management. What in your mind is the difference between a legacy vulnerability management versus a risk-based vulnerability management approach?
Sure. We've spent many years using CVSS, and people like to brag on CVSS, and there's nothing inherently wrong with it. It's more how people have used it. Maybe that has been a bit of a challenge, right? So CVSS, if you're not familiar with it, this is the scoring rubric that's used to look at how severe a vulnerability is from the context of how much access can an attacker get if they are able to exploit the vulnerability. So ranging from, on the low end is minor information disclosure, so they get a little bit of info out of the system, to on the most severe end is full remote. Basically, they own the system. They can do anything they want from anywhere as they've owned the vulnerability. For risk practitioners, you can pretty quickly identify that's missing a huge component, and that's the likelihood. So that we understand the impact to a certain degree. We have a technical impact. Some legacy programs try to couple that with the impact of the system. So how important is it to the business? And how much was, say, responding to an incident that was stemmed from that vulnerability, how much that might cost the business. But we're really missing the likelihood side. And that's where the risk-based vulnerability programs are really starting to emerge, which is understanding what vulnerabilities are actively being used to affect attacks. And what this really brings into highlight is that there's a number of low-level attacks that target vulnerabilities that are information disclosures. There's these little, you get a pinky toe hold on a system, and because of what they disclose, they're enough to now execute the next chain in the attack, leveraging maybe a more severe vulnerability because now you have enough information to do that, up to a full scale, let's say a ransomware attack or something like that. So our likelihood, if we know, and we do know, right, through collaborative efforts, what the attackers are going after, then we should be leveraging that likelihood information.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. To protect what matters most.
Yes. Yeah. Well, and to close the gaps that we know are most likely to be attacked, right? And then and it's outside in, and I think we opened with myths, but there is sort of this myth that the outside is the internet perimeter of the firewall, and organizations have two outsides. And so the idea that your VM program only has to, say, deal with your servers or something like that, because each one of those is quite valuable, is definitely a myth of VM. And risk-based VM is trying to help people see that the second, outside is the inside of your donut. It's all of those computers that users have that have access to the internet as well. And so seeing those individual machines is also equally important, if not more so, to protect, because you can close a lot more access by protecting those machines against attack, so that the really juicy bits in the middle, those servers are less likely to even see the light of an attack in the first place.
So just to finish up on vulnerability management, Laura, what do you think are the most common pain points and struggles that organizations have with their vulnerability management? Is it the bazillions of vulnerabilities that we have out there? Is it the patching? Is it integrating the scanning with the patching? What are the hard things about it?
Yeah, and I think really that last point is where the majority of the weak points happen. There are a number of sub processes within vulnerability management that have to happen correctly to have a good program, but where the train often goes off the rails is when we're translating from finding the vulnerabilities to actionable patching or configuration changes. And how do you make the translation from I have a list of vulnerabilities to what's the most simple and effective patch I can apply? What's the least activity I can do to close the most vulnerabilities in order of risk priority? And that's where a modern program that's successful really looks at how does it tackle that. So we're not overwhelming the IT team. I will put out there, the worst thing you can do is open a ticket for every vulnerability. Do not do that. Nobody will be your friend.
Your boat will sink.
And nothing will get done. And that's the bigger issue, right? Nothing will get done. Everybody will be upset and nothing will get fixed. So let's focus on how do we really close vulnerabilities. If one patch will close 10 vulnerabilities, let's get that patch applied and patch it everywhere it needs to go.
We're probably halfway through here. Actually, we're well over halfway through, so we better be quick on these last two. But really, really good information, and we don't want to shortchange the audience on the vulnerability piece. Next, I'm thinking about preparing for incidents, and there's no way we have time to talk about all the different components of that. So let's focus on the tabletop exercises. Real quick, Laura, what are they and what do they do for an organization, and how do they help leadership?
Yeah, so tabletop exercise, the best analogy is it's a fire drill for your incident response program. So we all know how to exit our office building if we're working in an office. We practice those fire drills as a team. Let's do that for an incident response exercise, incident response plan. And the way we do that through a tabletop exercise is it's a facilitated scenario walkthrough. So there's no real technology at play, but we're practicing that, okay, maybe it's an incident around a ransomware exercise. So how does it start? How do people make sure they're communicating properly? How do people get to an understanding of what the impact is? And you mentioned that communication with leadership. It's so important to do these with the leadership outside of IT, within IT too. Great exercise to do. But if you want IT leadership or the company leadership, not just the IT leadership, to understand why you're worried about security, walk them through a bad day, walk them through what it would be like if your company was subjected to ransomware, walk them through what it would be like if you had a major privacy breach, and see and help them see how many of their roles are now impacted in needing to respond to that. It's very enlightening. Nobody walks away from a tabletop exercise going, "Oh, I knew all of that. Yeah, we're fine."
Yeah, it's kind of like the hallmark moment, the aha moment.
Yes.
Brings it home into their context in the most likely scenario.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Last, we have probably about 1 minute left, but that does not reflect the importance of our last topic, which is awareness training. So beyond technology again, there's the human side of things. So smart people are still falling victim to, phishing scams. So how do we bridge that gap towards digital literacy for our people?
Yeah, there's so many different kind of options. And what I would really encourage is when you're looking at security awareness, think about how do you train your people in the context of they are still humans, right? You don't train humans the way you train a computer. You need to work with the fact that we are emotional beings. The reason why smart people get tricked is because we're still emotional. We get angry over things not working. We get excited over seeing something that looks like news. We get curious about trying to help. So programs that help people understand the emotional triggers and watching for those, and then working with science-based training that understands the neuroscience of humans is going to go much further, because people are both our biggest strength and our biggest weakness. So it's so important.
People, process, technology.
All the way.
You need them all. You need them all. Wonderful. Well, on that note, Laura, thank you so much for joining us once again on our podcast. It's been a great conversation. So many things I wanted to get to, but maybe another time.
Would love to. Thank you.
Awesome. And thank you to our viewers and listeners for joining us and spending time in your day and being part of this conversation. And we'll see you in the next episode.
Thanks for joining us today on the Digital Trust Podcast. If you found this conversation helpful, please share it with someone you care about. And if you'd like to receive our monthly newsletter, please click the link in the description to subscribe. And to put your mind at ease, our newsletter will include episode summaries with key points and actionable takeaways, plus a heads up on the upcoming episode guests. Rest assured, it won't be a spammy sales message, and we will never sell or share your information. Thanks again for tuning in, and we will see you on the next episode.